So art therapy again is something that I started to explore a few years ago. I learned it from 2-3 different people, and I started to do a lot of stuff on my own. So as I had said then, that everybody will look at it and decipher it differently. So the way I use art therapy is with children and adults. So it's not just with children.
So it's together?
You can do it. I mean, if you're a client of mine, I can use art therapy. It's just, if you have some issues, as a facilitator, I need to see what I can do or what approach I can take to what would create the fastest and the most effective results for you.
Okay.
And sometimes that's art therapy.
Okay.
Okay? And so you can do that with children, or you can do the same therapy with adults. It is about you drawing out using crayons, so it's really fun as well. But what it actually shows is something quite deep. One of the things that it has is it gives you a little bit of a peek into the future.
Okay.
Simply because your past is having, an influence on the now, which is creating your future, and that's all reflected in your drawing. Yeah. Certain emotions, including people who have black magic and stuff like that, since you spoke about it, that too can be released. So there's a lot of release work, releasing of emotions, releasing of
just by drawing.
Yeah. And as well as it gives you, well, this is something I recognized about it, it gives you an insight into the elements that govern your body. Okay. And so if you have a lot of water element, it will show up in your drawing. And if you have a lot of water element to the point that it's too much, you will have a certain psychological condition. You will have certain things going on in your body. And so what you really, to function harmoniously, you need to have all elements working in harmony, in perfect balance. So it's a great way to see the way the elements shift and change in your body and how you can balance it.
Okay.
The other thing, I can give you an example of how I've used art therapy. I've worked with some children. There was a girl who had moved schools and in fact moved cities, and she was just having a little bit of a difficult time with her peers. So I just sat with her and we did a lot of artwork, and she actually drew out this whole thing. It just came out in the paper. And then we worked with her, with the art, to create a different scenario in her mind. See, because your mind does not understand language, it understands pictures.
Right.
And so when you start shifting the pictures, you actually change the person's psyche and thereby changing their experience.
So what was the image? What did she do first?
So she drew her school.
Okay. Her first school?
The school that she was in. Okay. And there was, in that paper it came out that how she did not really feel like a part of the school.
Okay.
And then talking to her and mentoring through that, I kept getting her to draw the shift and the change of what can be, what is possible.
What exactly subconsciously she wanted.
Yes, exactly. And
Okay.
how that, so it's not just art, you have to do a little bit of conversation there and speak to the person, and together it works
so
beautifully.
it's how, what is the exact process of it? How much time does it take?
Well, a 45-minute session to
Okay.
an hour session with me, yeah. So we do, the art is part of that, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So all the therapies are included included with the art therapy, or is it
No, it
separate?
depends. As I said, like if you come with a certain issue, I'm not a person who follows processes like black and white.
Okay, it's customized.
It's customized.
Yeah.
It's to like what will work for you now,
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
I mean, if you're stressed out, I'll probably do little bars for you, or I'll do something else, I mean, it really depends. If you're looking
Depends.
for more clarity in your life, I'd probably do a numerology session. So it really depends.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what other therapies other than these?
So I've also explored movement.
Okay.
Yeah. Again, the movement therapy is based on that your body has, as I said, emotions. It has your neuro pathway. Okay. So let me explain that. Neuro pathway is that you are wired in a certain way. Okay?
Wired in a certain way.
Wired in a certain way, as in if an incident was to take place, okay, in this office right now, if you had somebody walked in, the way you would react to that stimuli would be different. Somebody else would react to it differently, right? So it's the way you're wired.
Okay.
You see the same, different people see the same thing in different ways. It's based on how they're wired.
Right.
Yeah. So we have certain neuro pathways. And no matter how much cognitive behavior therapies you do, no matter what other therapies you do, it may not completely change unless you change that neural pathway. And movement is one way to change the neural pathway.
And how do you do
Because
that?
our body is actually giving us so much information. How you sit, how you walk, how you move your hand through space is how you will live your entire life. Okay? So it's very interesting. It's a very deep topic, and yeah, so that also is really helpful for people.
What else? Like, what else is included in movement?
Movement is, we do certain kinds of movements.
Okay.
And I will explore what exactly is going on with the body when you move in a certain way, what that actually shows you about your thought process, and how you interface with the world around you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and the way you interface with the world around you is how you will experience your life.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'll give you a small example. Okay, if I were to ask you right now to take your hand and move it through space. Okay, yeah. So if you kept doing that, wouldn't your arms hurt?
Right.
Right? Because a lot of times we use our muscle, and that's how we go about life. We are making effort, right? We are exerting ourselves, and we get very exhausted. So we are essentially playing with matter. We are using matter to deal with matter.
Right.
Does that make sense?
So that de-stresses you, this therapy.
This therapy, no, it's not the
Doesn't-
de-stressing part of it.
It just changes your way to look at different situations.
No, it does not even change the way you look at it. It changes the way you be with life.
Be with life. Okay.
Yeah. But if you had to move effortlessly, life would be easier, isn't it?
Is it possible to move effortlessly
It is possible.
in this
and
stressful world?
It is possible, and movement therapy does help you with that. Yes.
That's interesting.